No matter where you are in life, no matter what your bank account says, you are wealthy. You are rich. And nobody can hear you go. Hi everyone, it's your girl Kunda. I'm your host for the Progress Driven channel, and welcome to this week's show, the show where we push for personal progress and prosperity. So this week I want to talk about feeling poor. And I want to remind you that you're rich. No matter where you are, no matter what your bank account says, I want to remind you that you're rich. So the feeling of being poor is actually a real feeling. And a lot of us go around feeling like we don't have enough, feeling like we're poor. And the root of this is a scarcity mindset. A lot of us have a scarcity mindset, especially when it comes to money, and we actually don't even realize this. I've had this scarcity mindset, and it's I always consider myself to be financially prudent. If you ask my partner, he'll tell me like I always thought I was there financially, and then things started happening financially for me that I didn't like. It wasn't reflecting what I thought I was. So I remember one time I took a test to see what kind of mindset I had. I was trying to understand what is going on here. I don't like what I'm seeing. And then in my financial test that I took, actually, my money test, the results show that I actually had a scarcity mindset. And that was like a slap in the face. And my partner was laughing at me about it because I'm always like, oh, this money, that money, And so a lot of us walk around with a scarcity mindset and we don't realize that. And this is something I hope you take serious, and this is something that you have to take time and investigate for yourself. So a lot of us have this feeling that we're actually poor, regardless of how much money we have. A lot of people walk around feeling poor. When I look back in my journey and in my life, I think I have felt poor for the longest time. I've for a very long time always felt poor, and regardless of how much money my parents had or how much money I had at a particular point in my life, I always had this feeling that was with me consistently that I was poor. And a few times, I remember one time someone once told me that, when people are talking and tell you, you're so rich, or you're actually rich, and I would always say no. They'll tell me, oh, your parents are rich, and my parents are not rich. Please. We're maybe in the middle class, but we're not rich. Or maybe now this is me also actually acting poor and behaving poor. Anyway, it's subjective. One person might think we're rich, the other person might think we're poor. It's subjective. And I would always say that, no, we're not. And I didn't say that because I was trying to be modest. I was literally saying that because that's what I felt and that's what I believed. And at one point I caught myself, and I think I almost remember the first time I ever admitted like, oh yeah, we're actually good. It was my partner, and then we're dating, and he says, you guys are well to do. And I was like, and I was almost saying no, we're not. And then I was like, you know what? We actually are. And it was one of those moments that I realized that, okay, I have this feeling. But then I didn't take it serious. And then it kept manifesting itself in my life in different ways. And now I just had to look at this thing that's in my life and this feeling. And so, so the feeling of being wealthy or being poor or being rich or being poor has nothing to do with how much money you have in the bank. You can have $1 million kwacha in your account right now and still feel poor. And the people who actually feel poor and they have so much money in their account, and it's like, what's going on? So this feeling is not a nice feeling to have, and this is a feeling that you have to take serious if that is how you feel, because there are consequences to feeling that way. So feeling poor will actually hurt you. It will hurt you in many different ways, and that's why you have to take care of yourself and make sure that you don't have this feeling. So one of the ways that it will hurt you is that not only are you going to feel less satisfied with your life, you're also going to find that you'll be making poor decisions in your life. Because you're constantly feeling poor, you a lot of people take risk decisions. They make unwise, risky decisions with their money. They get their money and invest in this opportunity that they think will make them fast money. A lot of that comes from a result of feeling poor. A lot of people have got in ridiculous debt. They have money, but they constantly feel poor, and because they constantly feel poor, they keep borrowing money. They keep borrowing money to finance their activities, their entertainment, their projects, their what, trying to compensate for that feeling, and because sometimes you may even have the money, and because you have that feeling or you have that mindset, you will make decisions like a poor person, which in the end will make you poor. So studies have shown that some studies have actually shown that if you have the feeling that you're poor, or if you constantly feel like you're poor, you're actually going to make a lot of unwise decisions with your money. So this is a feeling that you have to take very serious, and you have to make sure that you work on it. So what are some of the things that you can do to improve on this feeling? If you want to go from feeling poor to feeling worthy, you have to, number one, let me tell you something. You have to look at your life and love it where it is. Be grateful for where your life is. For me, practice gratitude. Thank God. Realize that you have it good. And try to stay in that moment. Try to stay in the moment where you're feeling like, I have it good. Count your blessings. Count the fact that you have a warm bed. Count the fact that you have a roof over your head. Count the fact that you've got food in the fridge, or you've got electricity, and you've got running water, you've got clothes on your back, you've got a car, you've got this. Count those things and try to stay grateful. Try to stay in that feeling, in that moment, as long as you can. Let me tell you something. A few weeks ago, this feeling, I've been working on this for a long time, but it caught me by surprise. And I was in the moment, and I was in the kitchen, and I was overthinking, and my mind was running. And in that moment, I was feeling poor. And I was actually getting irritated because I was feeling like, I don't have this, I want this, I want this. And I was looking at my glass as half empty, instead of looking at it as half full. And while I was having that moment and I was in that mindset, I was cutting a piece of steak. I was making a nice, healthy meal for myself and my family. And then I caught myself and I had to snap out of it. And I started laughing because my situation didn't look like a poor situation. So if I was feeling that way, it wasn't because I was poor. It was because it was up here. It was in my mind. And I had to stop and just start being grateful. And I had to start thanking God. God, I thank you for this. I thank you for that. I thank you for this. I thank you for that. Because you cannot be feeling poor and also be creating wealth at the same time. I don't think it works like that. I'm still here to find out, but the people that I've seen who struggle with the feeling of poverty or constantly feeling poor, they start to struggle. They start in the middle, or you start to sink. But it's hard for you to rise. So another thing that you can do is try to improve your financial situation. If you're improving your financial situation, you'll find that you're feeling more wealthy, you feel more gratitude, you feel better. And another thing that you can do is every once in a while, try to spoil yourself. Try to make yourself feel rich. Take yourself out. What I like to do when I'm feeling not so good, I love ice cream. I love ice cream. I'm not so much a sweet tooth, but ice cream just does it for me. So I'll take myself for ice cream, or take myself for a milkshake, or I'll find something that I can do. I'll take myself for a movie, or just try to do something that makes me feel like, okay, I've got it good. I have it good going on. So if you're going through a process or a situation where you're constantly feeling poor, it's a real thing. It's a real feeling, and you have to pay attention to it, and you have to deal with it. And you have to understand that the root cause is scarcity. And for as long as you have a scarcity mindset, you cannot create abundance in your life. You can't create abundance in your relationships. You can't create abundance in your financial situation, in your spiritual situation, or whatever situation you're trying to create abundance. So I definitely encourage you to work on that feeling. Work on the feeling of being poor, and try to create a more wealthy feeling within yourself. That is it from me, with all the love in the world. Till next week. If you love the video, please subscribe, and if you like the information that I'm sharing, share it with your family and friends. And till next week, I love you all. Take care, and bye-bye.